So we are now going to be talking about literal equations. So we've been working on solving linear equations, getting x equals to a number, or a variable equal to a number. Now we're going to be solving literal equations. A literal equation is an equation that contains more than one variable. All right, these are going to become more abstract. We're going to still be applying the same ideas of solving, but it's going to give us a more abstract answer. Okay, so in example 1, c equals 2 pi r. We want to solve this equation for r. We want to get the r by itself. Okay, so what's happening to r? R is being multiplied by 2 pi. 2 pi is multiplying the r. So if I go down to example 2 now, and I wanted to solve for r, r is currently getting multiplied by 2 pi. So you have to ask yourself, how do I undo multiplication? Well, I divide. So how am I going to get rid of 2 pi? I'm going to divide both sides by 2 pi. Okay? The 2's will cancel out and the pi's will cancel out, leaving me just with r. And on the other side, we get c over 2 pi. I can't simplify that at all. That's my final answer. We have gotten the r by itself. So hopefully you see why I'm talking about this being more abstract. C over 2 pi. We're used to getting like r equals 5, a plain old number. All right, now we're going to get our variable equal to an expression involving everything else. Okay, but you ask yourselves the same questions. What's happening to my variable and how do I undo it? Okay, let's move on to number 2. We got a equals b plus c times p. We are trying to solve for p. So what's happening to p? Well, p is being multiplied by c. And then that product, c times p, is being added to b. Okay, that's what's happening to p. All right, and the end result equals a. So let's ask ourselves, how would we solve this equation? Sometimes what I like to do is rewrite this equation, plugging numbers in for everything but the variable I'm solving for. Let's make it a little bit more relatable to what we've been solving. So what if I'm just making up numbers here. What if I called this 10 equals 2 plus 3p? Okay? What is the first step that we would do to solve this equation? Well, we would subtract 2 from both sides. So then we have 8 equals 3p. What would we do to get the p by itself? We would divide 3 from both sides. We are going to apply those same steps just with the literal equation. Okay, so we are trying to get p by itself. So the first thing we need to get rid of is this b. How are we going to do that? Well, what did we do with the 2 up here? We subtracted 2 from both sides. So what am I going to do down here? I'm going to subtract b from both sides. So then I've got a minus b, I can't combine those, equals c times p. Our end goal is to get the p by itself. Is the p by itself? Not yet. What is the c doing to p? Multiplying. How do I undo multiplication? I divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by c. All right, so then I get p equals a minus b all over c. P is by itself, and we just followed the solving steps. What about number 3? We get x plus 3 all over m equals negative 1. what is happening to x? 3 is being added to x. Then that whole sum is being divided by m. Okay? So let's create a similar problem that looks more like what we've been dealing with. We're trying to solve for x. So I'm just going to rewrite this as x plus 3 over, make up a number, I'm going to call it 2, equals -1. Okay, I'm just plugging in numbers for the other variables. How would we solve this problem in the gray? Well, the first step we would do is multiply both sides by 2, because that would cancel out the 2 on the bottom, leaving me just with x plus 3. All right, so apply that same step down here. What do we have to get rid of first? We have to get rid of the m. What is the m doing to my numerator, x plus 3? It's dividing. How do I undo division? I multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by m. That's going to cancel out the m and leave me just with x plus 3 equals -1 times m. -1 times m is the same thing as -m. Okay? Now for my last step, I'm so close to getting the x by itself. What's happening to x? 3 is being added to x. So how do I undo that? I subtract 3 from both sides. So I'll get x equals -m minus 3. I cannot combine those because they are not like terms. The x is by itself. I'm done. Okay? So you're applying the same solving steps. You're just getting a variable by itself, but instead of equaling just a number, it's going to equal a messy-ish looking expression. Okay? In the next video, we will go over this example on how we can use literal equations to solve word problems. Screw up just so you can see. Ask yourself, what's happening to my variable? What do I do to undo it?